Hiya, everyone, and welcome to my new show called Out of Nowhere, where we're talking about the unexplained, the paranormal, the strange things around the world. Well, I've got a fabulous guest on my show today. His name is Agi Nosh. Agi is an author, on air personality, seasoned aircraft pilot, hypnotherapist, UFO researcher, and cosmic explorer. Can we please welcome Agi to the show? Hello there.
Hello, hello. Here I am again. This must be about the third or the fourth time I'm with you, I think.
I think it is
Yeah.
definitely. I know a lot of people out there won't know where you're from so. I just want to talk a bit about yourself. You was born in a farm in Norway. Tell us a little bit about your life in Norway.
Well, it was calm and peaceful. It was wonderful actually. And as I grew up, I started to wonder, what am I going to do? I'm going to be a farmer, or do I want to do something else? And I just could not see myself being a farmer for the rest of my life, even though that was a very comfortable lifestyle. But I wanted more. So I broke with that at the age of 25. I left Norway and came to the United States to become a commercial pilot. And I did that, got all my certificates and ratings all the way up, all the way up to the multi-engine instrument instructor rating. And I flew for 23 years. And after I quit flying, then I started doing other things like exploring the mind. And that's where it got interesting.
It
I,
does sound interesting. The
yeah,
mind, that's in your field, isn't it?
yeah, it is now. I found that the universe we live in is not what we have been led to believe. It's something totally different. In fact, it may not even be real at all. It
So
may
what you're
be,
saying is, is there science behind the concept that we live in an hologram then?
well, it seems like I'm going to make a statement first, and that is that it looks, according to both quantum mechanics on the blackboard and also by expanding the mind logically, it looks like we are living in a mind created, holographically generated, universal mind created universe. So if the mind is involved, what does the mind create? It creates thoughts and visual images. So then, what is it around us? If I tap on the computer here, it feels solid, but does it feel like something the mind have created? Not really. So if the mind is creating it, could it be that this whole desk that I'm sitting at, the computer, and in fact, I'm looking at you over there, are you even real? That's just, it raises a lot of questions that we really should spend a little bit of time thinking about. What is real? And I think everybody out there, except for maybe two or three people in the universe, that has not watched the movie The Matrix. Whoever wrote the script for the Matrix movie, they knew something, because the movie Matrix was considered to be science fiction, but it wasn't. It was a documentary, because when you start looking into what they portray in the Matrix, that is really what it is. It is a bunch of ones and zeros, and of course, is everything, including this disk, a bunch of ones and zeros? Frequency, vibration. It appears so, according to quantum mechanics. And let me go back a little bit to the science. There is a man, a physicist named James Gates, and he says that when we go deep into the equations explaining the fundamental particles of fabric of space, we find computer language. It just shows up. We didn't put it there. And it is too organized to be there by accident. An intelligence put it there. So what does that mean to us? That means that everything in the universe is explained by ones and zeros. That's a computer language. And if there's a computer language, there's got to be a computer program somewhere, right? So
Right.
if there's a computer program, that means that it is put out or put in place by a computer. So now we have backtraced it to the source of the computer. I can understand that. I'll accept that. But what I'm more interested in, who's sitting at the computer?
Who is it?
Well,
Exactly. But when you talk about that, what's a hologram then?
a hologram, which James Gates is saying that all these ones and zeros, they have, what they are showing them is that it has many similarities with a holographic projection. A hologram, that is a artificially created projection of something real. So behind the hologram, there's got to be a picture, or there's got to be something real that is projected into the hologram. So we are living a hologram here, but there is something real behind it. And that's what I'm interested in, because the computer that is putting all of this out there, it shows a simulation, but behind the simulation there is something, some intelligence is sitting back there controlling the simulation. So now we know that for the last 300 years or so, at least since Newton, we've been told that matter and energy cannot be created out of nothing. So now we have a problem. There is this desk that I'm sitting at. It feels solid. It is something. It's got to be something. So, but if the equations on the blackboard showing that we live in a mind-created universe, that means that there is nothing physical. Everything is playing out in our mind.
Right.
So how does that play together with the
That true?
desk?
Agate, can
Yeah,
we see? Can we think or see things through consciousness then?
absolutely. There is a consciousness that created the holographic projection that is expressing itself in the form of computer language. So then, whose consciousness is it? I keep asking questions to go back further and further back until I
Yeah.
get to the source. Well, the consciousness there, that is all there is. There's a universal consciousness which we are part of. And this shows up on the blackboard also. But if you start running the equations down, coming down to the hologram, they show that everything is consciousness. We are part of that consciousness. So within the major consciousness, we can create within that consciousness. So there is consciousness within consciousness within consciousness. So when we create in our universe, that, hey, somebody created this watch. That is how we concentrate and how we create in the physical. And somebody created this computer I'm tapping on. Somebody created, or something created, this physical body. But it
There's a
is.
picture up there from Alice, and it said, so is that why Greys aliens can put us through solid things, i.e. windows?
Yeah, because the window is also part of the matrix, of part of the holographic illusion of something real. So if we understand that computer program, which we can if we contemplate on it through meditation, we can actually reach into the computerized mind, the universal mind, and we can find how we do that, how we can walk through walls. And the mind, our mind, is part of the universal mind. So we have access to everything in the universal mind. We just have not been told how to do it. And now we find this is something. My physical body is something. So it's created by that universal mind. Through our mind, we come up with this mental image that show up in our mind. And this mental, or this holographic projection extend beyond the physical. It extends up into the higher vibration, just like Allison is saying here in the chat room, like ghosts. Yes. Ghosts are still part of the holographic illusion. Even they don't know it either. And there is a lot of evidence for the fact that there is more than one existence. And let me give you an idea of what really can happen by the mind creating reality. This is a good example. I'm a hypnotist. If I put you in a soft chair and talk to you for 10 minutes and tell you that when you wake up, you are going to see an elephant standing next to you in the room. And I don't care if you're on the 34th floor of an apartment building with small doors, you're going to see that elephant. Because
mind control.
When I snap my finger and bring you back out and you look over there, there's the elephant. And that's not an easy thing to do. You got to get people way down into the theta range of brainwave pattern to convince their subconscious mind that, wow, there's an elephant there. But you can do that through hypnosis. And now you reach over, you touch the snout on the elephant, you can feel the rough skin. You can smell him, you can hear him breathing. He is right there. He's totally real to you. But there's a problem. I can't see the elephant because there is no elephant there. What happened? Did your real world go away? Yep. Yeah, it did. So if we can do that in hypnosis, by being down in the theta range of brainwave pattern, you can create a mental image that becomes real to you. What can the universal mind do in creating within our reality and everybody else's reality in this vibrational existence of 4D, which is three-dimensional space plus time? That's 4D. There is no limitations of what can be created. And we are creating more and more and more, advancing ourselves up the evolutionary scale of capability within this creative mind we are living. This gets deep. Boy, oh boy, this gets deep. And now we have another challenge. Are we alone here in this mind created existence that we think we're living, or is there a soul essence with us? Why would a soul come in and join with a illusionary existence? Yeah, they do. The soul essence comes in and plays in the arena and with this mind created physical illusion we are living, because that's how the soul essence gets physical experiences and learn and grow. So even though there may not be anything physical, it definitely is real because the mind created it. So the soul essence comes in and play in that arena with the mind. And that's part of what should we call it? Ghosts. Uh, Spiritual entities aren't necessarily just ghosts, because ghosts are things that hangs around and just don't know what to do. That's my opinion of it. But the spiritual essence of higher vibratory entities can come in here and have experiences with us and learn from what we do.
Yeah, Alison just said, I was shown the universe when I was younger. It was too much for me to
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to ask Alan, do you remember much of it still? Because you never forget it. It is just that sometimes it is hard to bring out pieces of memory from it because we are taught by our parents first that it is okay to forget. Everybody does it. If you were told from the time you were that tall that you will always remember everything you see, hear, and experience, and have perfect recall at any time you need it or want it. If the kids are told that, they would have all of them photographic memory. And this is something you can do through hypnosis. You can install that command again in the subconscious mind. You can do that through self-hypnosis, which is a little harder because you got to do more of it. But if you find a good hypnotist and have him put you way deep down in theta and give that command, and when you come out of there, you're going to find you have a lot better memory.
Hey, Argay, can we change the simulation to serve us better then?
Oh, absolutely. We sure can. And we change our simulation, or we change our timeline, or our what we expect the future to be every day. It is just that we don't know it, and we change it on the basis of what we do, what we say, what we experience, and what we accept. So we should only accept and do and say good things. I caught myself in the past when I sometimes I do stupid things, and I says, "Ah, you idiot." Okay, I'm telling my subconscious mind that I'm an idiot. How brilliant is that, huh? I, Nori is good at this. When I used to say that, she catch me at it and she make me feel about that tall. So we need somebody around us, maybe sometime, to guide us in the right direction. Let me give you an example of what the mind can really do in our created existence to make our life better. There is, I think it was in 1981, there was a guy named Morris Goodman. He was in a plane crash, and the doctors, they really didn't expect him to live, though they tried to help him. And he broke his back above the chest. He severed the spinal cord. He punched his diaphragm, so that didn't work anymore. He could only breathe through a ventilator. He couldn't move any part of his body whatsoever except his head. He could move his eyes and, things like that.
Yeah.
But he understood the power of the mind and visualization. So he started visualizing the diaphragm being whole again. He visualized the spinal cord coming together, growing back together. He visualized the spine being whole again. And in a matter of just a few weeks, he had regrown the diaphragm so he could breathe again. In a matter of just a few months, he regrew the spinal cord and the spine so he was up walking again, even though theoretically he could not have done. I mean, doctors told him, "You're done, you're never going to walk again." But he
So
proved,
what did the doctors say after that then?
well, they were dumbfounded. They had no idea how it happened, because doctors, they're not really smart. They're highly educated, but they're not really smart. So they didn't understand it. Of course, he understood it. I understand it, because in a mind created universe, he started creating a healed diaphragm in his mind that set itself into the holographic existence that he was. It set itself in as a whole rebuilt diaphragm. So yes, that is the kind of stuff that we can do. I don't care if you have a sore toe or a stage 4 pancreatic cancer. You can actually do these things. So that's the power of the mind. And we can do this if we know how. Nori and I put together a mastermind group of really tremendous minds. And we meet on Sundays and we do these kinds of things. And we have phenomenal results. And
What time's that on Sundays?
on Sundays at East Coast time, it is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday.
Oh, so that's 7 o'clock in the UK then?
That's correct. You should come and visit sometime.
I should do, yes, on Sunday
Yeah.
night. Yeah.
Let me give you another quick example of what is really possible to do with the mind. We had a bunch of people together, and we join our minds together as a mastermind, which is defined as when two or more minds are united in harmony, they create a third mind that has the potential mind power of the two or more of them multiplied by each other. So if we had 30 people there, then we have the mind power of 900 minds. If we have 1,000 people, that is the mind power of 1,000,000 minds, focusing on one thing and creating it in our mind. That sets the energy for it to be physically real. Let me give a quick example. This one is one of the kind of the really hard one to wrap our head around, because it works. There was about a year ago, there was a lady in Northern California that called me, and she said, "I think I'm going to have to move into town because the forest fires here are coming too close. I'm afraid my house is going to burn." So she said, "Can we do anything with the mastermind?" And I said, "Yeah, let's try it." So we wrapped our mastermind around her. and her house in Northern California. We were standing on the hill looking in our mind now. We were standing on the hill looking towards the fires, and there were nothing there. And we saw howling rain coming down, rain on our hair, the hairs dripping in our face and the running down our clothes were all wet. My boots were filling up with water. This is what we were standing there visualizing. And when we were done with that mastermind session, we got on to doing some other things. And about an hour and a half after we were done, she called me and she said, "It's raining." It had not rained in Northern California for 3 to 4 months before, but it did an hour and a
Incredible.
half after we did our session. And now I would say that there were a few clouds before, but there were still blue skies in between them. So in an hour and a half, it tightened up, got dark, and it started howling rain. And she even sent me a video of herself, took a video, standing in the rain, totally wet, and I could see the rain coming down. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff we can do. And we done.
I can remember quite a few years ago. It might have been 10 years, or maybe 20 years ago. They had no rain in Australia, and Yuri Guerra came on national radio and said, "I want everybody to think about rain for Australia. They've
Yeah,
had no rain for 5 years." And it worked, and it rained.
yeah, yes, that's how it works. When the minds get together, we create a third mind that has the potential mind power of all of them multiplied by each other. So that's how it works. And we've done a lot with healings. We had a lady that was basically on her last leg, just going down the tube with COVID. They were going to start the ventilator the next day. And we wrapped our mind around her. And the next day, she walked out of the hospital. The doctor said that you recovered so fast, there was no reason to keep you here anymore.
Amazing.
So
Hey,
this is,
I want to touch on something else as well. Can we change the present? How about the future and the past? Can we change all that?
yes, yeah, we can. But I would say you probably only can do that if you accept it, that it's possible. I think that is very important. Just hope is not a plan. You got to get down to some visual images and know those visual images are yours and they had happened right now. And you got to be in detail with it. I have changed my timeline going into the future several times. I had one back in Europe, and being a farmer, I changed that timeline to becoming a pilot instead. And then I changed it again when I quit flying. I became more of a, I don't know what to call it. And now I am doing what I do here. I write books and do radio shows and interviews and stuff. And I changed my timeline. And that is changing the future. But you got to design it in your mind first. I remember back in Europe when I wanted to go to the United States to become a pilot. I wasn't sure how it was going to happen. I knew that was going to be expensive. And I started thinking it. I saw myself sitting in the cockpit, left hand on the controls and the right hand on the thrust levers. I saw myself flying the airplane. I visualized myself doing it. I saw myself reaching over to the radio, switching frequencies. I lived the cockpit for months. And then the opportunity came, and I left, and I became that I had visualized before. So now, if we want to change the future, because physically the future haven't happened yet, but whatever you have thought, and I'm pointing to the heart too, because there's a brain in the heart with about 40 to 60,000 neurons that also holds memory and creates in the holographic existence with you. So if you are setting your mind that you want something in your life, start living it in the moment. Start putting detail into the picture you want of it. Put details, colorful images, put emotion into it. And once you put the emotion into it, put intention into it. And that means know it is yours.
Right.
When you do that, things are going to happen. There are going to be people coming into your path that could help you do it. There are going to be situations that arises that you can take advantage of to make it happen. The universe will get in the game with you. And this is one of the things I teach in my book about spiritual science. And I get emails from people, several people a week saying, you changed my life. I was able to do what I wanted to do. So I teach people how to use their mind in ways that you normally would think would be impossible, because education don't teach you these things. You got to find somebody that made it work and listen to what they have to tell you. And when you do, things change. Sometimes things are thrown into your path that looks like, oh boy, oh boy. Let's say you give you an example. I know a guy here in town in Tucson. He had a car accident. Oh, this was probably, I don't know, close to 20 years ago. He had a car accident. He rear-ended another car. And he got to know the lady that was driving the other car. She was really pissed. And rightfully so. He rear-ended the car. And they got to know each other. They got to talking. They are happily married today.
Oh, God.
That's how the universe gets in your game. You may not like it at the time, but good things may come from it if you look for it.
It's a good question coming up for you. Can you design a vision map on paper with pictures of your future self?
Yes, you can, absolutely. I would first say there's two ways to do that. I'm gonna tell you the easy way first and the shortcut, and then I'll tell you what I would do. First of all, my co-host on the broadcast team Alpha Show, Nori Love, she is a hypnotherapist, and I never thought about doing this, but she's doing it, and that is she takes put people into a hypnotic state, take them forward in time to meet themselves and take advice from themselves, have discussions with themselves, let's say 2 years in the future. And chances are that you are a little more matured into what you should do in the future. And then when you listen to yourself about what you could do in the present now to make things better in the future, you can come back and take those advice and do that. And then you create a new timeline into that thing that you want in the future. Now, this is radical,
It
but
is radical.
yeah, but talking to her, it works. So you kind of, it's not cheating, but it is using the universal mind to create the future before you have to live it. Now,
Another question here, just before you move on. Does the universe even exist if the mind is not involved?
Well, when the mind is involved, it does exist. There are physicists coming out now saying that the biggest part of space may not even exist until we put a telescope on it and look at it. Because it's the observation that creates reality. That was proven with the double slit experiment, almost 100 years ago. So, yeah, the mind is necessary for the universe to exist, because one of the physicists here back in the 1960s, I think it is, he said, we cannot imagine or even have a universe without somebody observing it. But I don't want to stray too far away from the second way to create the future. Let me explain a little bit about that. First, decide what you want. If you don't know what you want, how in the world can the universe help you get what you want? So decide what you want. Spend some time visualizing that in your mind in detail. Let's say if you want a new house to live in, fine. Find one that you really would love to have. The best way to do that is to go to open houses and have a look at them to find one that you later would love to live in, and then lock in on that one. And when you have created a totally detailed, colorful image in total detail of what you want, go visit it every day. And what you can also do is to place it in the future at a time-coded event. Let's say like a Christmas party, a New Year's party, a birthday party. Forget the calendar. The universe doesn't work with calendar. That's too man-made. But let's say a New Year's party where you and your friends are standing around in or with what you wanted to have, toasting the success of what you have created. When you do that, now you lock it into the future, and then you go back, visualize that image every day, maybe 2 or 3 times a day. Now you're creating it in the mind, and it start manifesting itself in the physical with you. Do go back and forth every day for the next year or so until that New Year's party. So as you are going up this timeline, people will show up in your life to help you do it. Situations will emerge that will show you how you can do it. And just keep doing, visualizing, and going up that timeline. So when the New Year's party comes, you just walk into it. It is yours. I've done that several times, and that works. I did that.
Alison, I was going to
Yeah.
say, because Alison's in the chat room, she said, I want the house I'm living in.
Say that again.
Alison's saying she must rent this house. She said, I want the house I live in. He's selling it next year. Should she visualize then?
Okay. Well, if you love your world right now, spend some time with it in your mind. See yourself in it. Next Christmas, New Year's party, 10 years from now, see yourself in it. That creates stability in the timeline. So what you have and you love it, keep loving it here, not just at your fingertips by touching stuff. Just spend some time visualizing and enjoying it, and put emotion, the vivid, colorful images into it. Feel it with love. Because those things, the emotion, intention, And love, that's the spiritual language that'll tell you how you can actually communicate with the universal mind. So, yes, hang on to that house. And when you sell it, then find another one that you love just as much.
Exactly. I
Yep.
tell you what, I wanted to ask you. Um, Time travel. Can we time travel?
Yeah. And in fact, what Nori does with taking people forward in time to visit themselves is a form of time travel. It's not physical time travel, but it is a mental time travel where you actually can interact with yourself in the future. And there are scientists now, there are scientific publications that saying, yes, we know how to make a time travel machine, but we just haven't done it because it's not time for it yet. Can you imagine if everybody had a time travel device so they went back and forth and changed the past, changed the future? You would have such a mess that nobody could figure anything out.
True.
It's not workable. That's why in China they have a law on the books. Time travel is illegal. Why would they make something illegal if they didn't think it would work?
Have you tried it then, Argy?
Yes, I have. In fact, I did a conference on it probably 6 months ago, and it's on our website, Broadcast Team Alpha, on YouTube, and broadcastteamalpha.com on our website, where I spent 2 hours explaining what it is, how it works, and how you can do it. And in fact, I wrote a book here, Spiritual Science, Higher Conscious Thinking, and How to Access the Universal Consciousness. In the back of it, it's I think it's the second to the last chapter or something like that. I explain how you actually can do this. It takes a little bit of practice, but you can do this. And there are also other ways. I have a little electronic device that I've had some very strange experiences with. And the thing about when you start messing with the time stream, you got to be careful because there are other people in the stream with you. You don't necessarily want to change their life too much without their permission. There are rules in the universe. There are rules of privacy. There are rules of engagement. There are things that you should not do, like go back and in the past and change by feeling, oh, I like to do this and like to do that. No, it need to have a really specific purpose. Let's say that you had something really bad happen, let's say a year ago, that you can't see anything good coming from it. If you wanted to change your timeline so that didn't happen, go back to a time, start in your mind, and then go back to a time before that. And see yourself making a different decision where that thing would not happen. And then go back and do that every day. Start seeing details in the decision and decide, first of all, what decision you want to make. Where would that other decision lead you? Also include that in the concept. And then visualize it over and over again, making that different decision where the bad thing didn't happen. Now, you could change the timeline so you end up going up a different timeline, but you don't change the bad decision in this timeline, because everything is energy, and energy doesn't go away, it only is transmuted into something different. So this timeline will probably still be here, but you in a new timeline, you may not remember this one. So you are prone again to maybe make the same decision. But if you have decided beforehand that I'm not going to do that decision, I'm going to do a different one, then you are focusing in on that. You should be able to bypass it. So that's how to change the past, but you can change the future easily by, if you see something coming up that you don't necessarily like, think around it. Think and visualize a situation that does not have that in it, and just start a different timeline going around it. You can perfectly well do that. First time majorly that I changed the timeline was when I quit being a farmer and I went to the United States. That was a major new timeline. You can do the same thing.
Alison's just saying, do you believe we come back here after death?
Well, let me preface first. If somebody asks me, do you believe in life after death? I have to tell them no, because there is no death. There is only life. Life extends from this existence on into another existence where this one fall away, and now you're in a different room doing different things. You never die. You just continue. Life continues forever. The different life experiences that we are living, there are many of those. So when you get a gray and old and wrinkled and you drop this body, then you have a different life afterwards where you again will decide what to do. Do I want to create another life situation where I can come back and learn, or do I want to do different things on the other side? You will decide where to go after you drop or you're done with this life experience. There's another experience coming, and you are the one that decide what it's going to be. So think about that. Oh, here's something really interesting that you may tell your friends that are atheists. As an astral traveler, I can say I have met many of them, because ghosts are usually the ones that have no spiritual knowledge. They think that by the time I'm done with this life, there's nothing, everything is gone. And then they drop the body and they find themselves standing there looking at themselves. Wait a minute. Boy, was I wrong. Now what do I do? And they have no idea about what to do. So they become ghosts. They just float around and
Stuck in
bother.
time.
Yeah, having, well, I don't know about the good time, but
No, stuck in time.
yeah. They they don't like being there because nobody talks to them anymore, and now they don't know what to do. And there's a saying, though, that nobody dies alone. That is mostly true, but a lot of people, they do die alone when there's nobody there to pick them up and take them home. And if you drop the body, find yourself on the outside, let's say in the dark or somewhere where you really don't know what is, use the telephone. Yeah, there is a telephone on the other side. And that
Right.
is one of, if you find yourself there and you really don't know where to go, use the telephone by, think of your mom or someone that has already passed on. Create a mental image of them in front of you and tell them, come and get me. because they should have figured it out by now. So they have a place where they would bring you. So chances are that your mom will get the message and she will come and say, hey, okay, son, you graduated. Now let's go home. Or if you see a light tunnel, that's the entrance into a spiritual world where you will only experience love. Everything is love on the other side.
Okay, have you had any near-death experiences then?
You mean previous lifetimes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked into a few and I found that there are several. Not all of them was on Earth. I found myself also living on a a small planet-sized spaceship, but it wasn't round. It was kind of cigar-shaped, maybe kind of like the one that we have a NASA print on, that is sitting in the outside the outer rim of Saturn. There's a 3,000-mile long cigar-shaped ship sitting there that there is a picture of, and you've probably seen that one. And this one that I was on, it was huge. But people living there, they never set foot on a planet. They just live on the ship. That's their planet. But it's an artificially created ship. So yeah, there's you can also decide where to go. But most people are encouraged to come back to Earth to learn more because the Earth is one of those places where you can learn the most because you have severe downside as well as upsides to existence. You can learn the whole spectrum technically in one lifetime, but I think very few people do. A lot of us come back to lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetime, and you don't have to pick a lifetime in the present or in the future. You could actually, if you really wanted to, you could design a lifetime for yourself 2,800 years ago in Egypt, or 30 some thousand years ago in Egypt when they built the second pyramid. You could go back in physical time and live a lifetime also, but that's your decision.
Mm.
That's not talked about a lot, but you could.
It isn't. That's not talked a lot. Exactly. It's not.
Yep.
I know someone want to know about your broadcast team Alpha. Tell us a
Okay.
little bit how you got involved with your radio show.
I started that 20 some 8 years ago back in Omaha when I lived up there. I ended up being a guest on shows quite a bit because of UFO research and things. And then when I moved to Tucson in 1999, then 3 months later, I ended up with a TV show, and another 2 months, I think it was, then I ended up with another TV show that I was hosting and producing. So, and then I had other radio shows, and this now has culminated into Broadcast Team Alpha, which I'm doing with Nori Love. And if you go to YouTube, you'll find Broadcast Team Alpha, and we do a weekly show, and she do a health show, and I do a paranormal show, and then we do other videos also. So it gets really deep and interesting. So just visit and see what you think.
And you've got your show on Sundays.
Yeah, that's Sundays at 6 o'clock in the evening, Mountain Time, and it's 8 o'clock in the evening East Coast USA time. So
Right,
that's when the live show goes out.
right,
Yeah,
right. But you have lots of interesting guests on there, and you do this mind thing as well on Sunday afternoons.
yeah. And one thing that I want to mention actually, and that is that if you become a member on YouTube, there are some videos where to show you how to reprogram the subconscious mind for perfect just about anything that you want. You can reprogram the memory, the mind by listening to these videos because it is a concept. I guess we're getting down to the end of the show pretty soon, but I'm going to take about 45 seconds and explain this because it
Yeah,
can really,
you've got plenty of time.
yeah, that can help people. And that is that if you repeat something over and over again when your brainwave patterns are way down into theta, it reprograms the mind. And that's what we do. You run this recording while you sleep, and when you wake up you will remember, and whatever you program the mind for, it will start emerging into your existence and your life. And that is something I used it in flight school, because coming from Norway with a slight language barrier and coming off the farm, so to speak, it was tough. It was really tough. I wanted to quit so bad, but I just couldn't. I had to continue. And I used this tape recorder that I brought. It had an endless 30-minute tape on it. Maybe it was an hour. I'm not sure. Maybe it was 30. And whatever I needed for the next day in, let's say, for tests and stuff, I
Hmm.
talked it in on this tape. And I ran the tape at night, and it programmed the mind. So the next day when I got to take the test, I usually most my tests were in the 90s, just because I ran them at night. It programmed the mind to remember what I needed the next day. And you can do the same thing by going to Broadcast Team Alpha and click on the join button. It will show you, tell you how to go from there, and you can actually reprogram the subconscious mind. That is going to be a good one.
It sounds interesting, all this. And I'm
Yeah,
sure, there's Alison and quite a few people in the chat room. Alison's going to try to visualize about the house, and
yeah,
hopefully she
yeah.
wants to stop in it.
And also, I gotta, I gotta show you this. And here's that book that it will teach you how to use your mind in ways you normally would think would be impossible. And you'll find it on Amazon, and you can contact me too, and I can get it to you. But I get emails from people all the time saying that it changed their life. So it's something to think about.
It is. Lots to think about there.
Yep.
And it's always nice when you come on the show. People say, "Oh my God, what a great guest." And as
Well,
just said, really interesting
I'm,
tonight.
I'm having fun.
You're always having fun when you're thinking about things and consciousness and about
Yep. Life should be
existence.
life should be fun.
It should be. And
Yeah.
you always have fun doing
Yep.
your shows as well.
Yeah, like Ronald Reagan said, if you're not having fun doing it, you shouldn't be doing it.
Good old Ronald.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah,
Mhm.
so thank you to Argy for coming on the show. Thank you to all the people in the chat room tonight. It's always interesting when they ask questions as well.
All
So
right.
thank you again. My
Sound good.
guest on Friday is
Yeah. Send me a link when
Mark
you can,
Florence.
and I'll help you get it out to a few more thousand people.
Yes, I will do. Thank you for that, Argy. My guest on Friday is Mark Florentino. It's been on the show before. Great guest as usual. Everybody's saying thank you, Bob and Argy. Mason's in there, Anna's in there, Diane's in there, Stargazer in there, Mason's in there. There's loads in there. So you take care, Argy.
Okay.
And I'll catch you in the few. I'll catch you on Sunday.
Okay, sounds good. And in the words of Spock, live long and prosper.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, good night. Thank you again.
Thank
Love
you.
it. Thank you.